Hello, my name is Benjamin Hart. I'm an American attorney and the managing director of Integrity Legal here in Bangkok, Thailand. As the title of this video suggests, we're discussing the current pandemic situation. And while frankly, this is not the thrust of what I thought this channel would ever be about, anything along these lines, it has become something that's having a fundamental impact on folks' legal rights, as well as their ability to do business here in Thailand, as well as their ability to travel to and from Thailand. So in the end, it kind of indirectly involves a lot of what we talk about on this channel, and more it's kind of become the 1,000-pound gorilla in the room, if you will. But in what I can only describe has been the best news I've heard this year thus far, which, okay, we're not that far into the year, but it's pretty good news as far as I was concerned. A recent article from Thai PBS World, that's thaipbsworld.com. Article is titled, "With over 2,000 Omicron cases in Thailand so far, expert predicts beginning of new wave." Now, from that title, this doesn't seem, in fact, yet again, I would kind of take issue with the way that the media frames all of this, because when you get into, and I really urge people to read this, again, thaipbsworld.com, article is titled, "With over 2,000 Omicron cases in Thailand so far, expert predicts beginning of new wave." Really urge folks to read this, but the meat and potatoes, the thrust, the crux of this article, it's very optimistic about where this is headed. And I'm going to go ahead and quote, and we're quoting, they were talking to Dr. Manun Licha Wingwong, and we've actually quoted him in the past. And quoting further, a doctor specializing in respiratory and pulmonary diseases at Wichayu Hospital. Now, contrast that with, oftentimes we'll hear spokespeople from the CCSA with a medical emphasis in psychiatry, as opposed to, again, respiratory and pulmonary diseases, which to my mind lends this person's credibility or opinion a lot of credibility, because this is what this person does. This is what Dr. Manun does. But quoting further, in his Facebook post today, he said, however, there is no cause for alarm. Again, couldn't put a finer point on it myself. Quoting further, in this new wave of Omicron infections, which Dr. Manun believes to be the biggest yet, people who have been inoculated or infected with other variants will contract the rapidly spreading variant sooner or later, he said, but they will have developed herd immunity instead of falling sick, and in the end, the COVID-19 pandemic will come to an end. I want to read that again. And in the end, the COVID-19 pandemic will come to an end. So, and there's a lot more in here, and I'm not going to quote any further from this because, quite frankly, I think it would behoove those who are interested in this topic to go ahead and read this and read it really in detail. There's a lot of information that this expert in respiratory and pulmonary diseases has put out there for folks, and it's of interest to both Thais and foreign nationals here in the kingdom. Now, what I'm hoping is we're at least coming to the end of this long, dark tunnel and seeing the light. I truly hope we are, and I truly hope that folks in a in a position to make policy decisions will take all of this data into account and recognize that, look, we've had 21 months of exceptional negative movement with respect to the economy, negative pressure placed on the economy. And quite frankly, I don't know, and I've stated this before, I don't know how much more the economy can frankly take before it just kind of gives out, for lack of a better term. I know that that's not how economics exactly works, but long story short, we have dealt with a great deal of economic downturn. There's no doubt as a result, especially since the latest lockdown in April of 2021, which really hasn't ended even to this point. We've not gone back to what we had prior to that date yet. So what I'm hoping is, as this new data comes out and we see this thing for what it is, that we understand that, look, under a cost-benefit analysis, it's time to go ahead and take the economy and understand that having lost 18% of GDP, pursuant to what's been said in the Bangkok Post and in other videos we've talked about, that it's time to really take a hard look at the economic impact and maybe prioritize that over something that's really probably, at least according to an expert in respiratory and pulmonary disease, something that does not pose nearly the threat that we once thought it might.